Coming up, you're going to discover how to diversify your app business and create an empire from courses and eBooks. Stay tuned. What is up, App Nation? It is Steve P. Young, founder of AppMasters.com, the place you go when you want action-packed content in the app business. And today I got a phenomenal guest. He transitioned from creating apps to now an author, a Udemy teacher with over 124,000 students and over 120 courses on Udemy. So we're going to talk about how he transitioned from apps into becoming a social media influencer. So without further ado, let me introduce the guest. His name is Alex Jenedinik. Don't even try to say it. I don't even know if I said it right, but he is the founder of Problemio.com. That's problem.io. That's how you would spell it. .com. Check out all his apps and everything that Alex has going on that website. That's also linked up underneath the YouTube description as well. But Alex, welcome, man.
Man, I love your introductions. You know, you and I, we do this once every couple of years.
Yes,
your
sir.
Introductions have leveled up so many fold.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It's better than leveling down, I think.
You just blew me away. That energy. I was like, oh my God. A new career for Steve in the Hollywood introduction world.
I appreciate that, man.
Dude,
yeah.
Best ever. Anyway, where were we?
Anyways, talk about your business model and how you. I'll let you talk about a little bit brief info about yourself, and then let's talk about how you transition away from apps and into whatever you got going on right now.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, first of all. So we actually met back in the day. That's when right. We were both in the app world, and for me, the app world was like the first successful business that I had. I've had previous successes as an entrepreneur before that, but they were kind of lukewarm. And my apps, I kind of stumbled into them, and I just created some apps, and just from all the learnings I had before, I was like, oh, all right, these apps are okay, reasonably successful, cool. And you know, we were discovering things back then. Now in hindsight, it's clear that what ended up happening, the way that I created my apps, they kind of positioned me as the main guy behind the app. Most people, when they create apps, it's just the app, the founder is totally unknown, out of the way. And in my app, I was very hands-on, and that was sort of like very foundational for becoming an influencer, which I didn't know that that was happening. And also, it's funny to say about yourself that you're an influencer, but just let's suspend that for the sake of this video. So what ended up happening on my app, just for people who don't know, my apps are business planning apps. And the one feature that changed everything that I had on my app was people were able to ask me questions. Some of them didn't know who I was. Most of them didn't know who I was. But for some reason, they took my advice, for better or worse. And I ended up helping like over 1,000 people like this, typing with my thumbs and just talking through their businesses, and over time learning about their businesses. And then what ended up happening is, not only did that give me the confidence and the experience that I was working with all these entrepreneurs, you know, here I'm talking about a gym, here I'm talking about a coffee shop, here I'm talking about like water purification in India, like it's just was all over the place. And then I started realizing, hey, like this can be bigger. I got to take this outside the apps, and I started a YouTube channel where I literally was answering questions, you know, the same questions I would get on my apps, where people would ask like, how do you start a gym? And after the 20th gym, I'd be like, why don't I just make one video and send everybody to the video? So my apps were actually, not only did they start positioning me as a little bit of like, you know, as the expert, but they also started promoting my YouTube. And then when I started, then I had our friend Nick Loper. He was like, you should write a book. He's the guy who's like probably responsible for all these like half of these independent authors are like, seems to me at least, came from his advice. But what I ended up doing is I ended up like literally taking all the questions from the apps, because I was so hands-on, gave me the content for the YouTube. But my first book was also just basically answering all the questions that like when I hit like 300,000 downloads, just that survey, the answers to those questions that everybody asked was literally my first book, and actually was one of my first courses that I made on Udemy. So I kind of ended up stepping out and branching out of beyond just the apps. But like today, when I look at it, it was kind of like climbing a staircase, because like it wasn't overnight. Like it was like, I had a little success with the apps. I still wasn't really known in the business planning world, but it gave me, because I was hands on, like, and I think that's the biggest difference, at least in my path to this, is that most people, they're hands off, right? They want to automate things. They want to just things to roll and be cool. But I was like right there. My nose was right in people's businesses, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about your business. And so it gave me a sense of what people were struggling with, and it gave me the ideas for what to write. And so all that content came about from me being in the apps. So the apps were like one step, YouTube was another step, the books were another step. And so now looking back at it, I've kind of created a little bit of an ecosystem that, without really aiming to be, an influencer, it's a weird word. And, I don't know how influential I am, but but at the same time, I think when beginners, let's say, start a business, or, they look on Udemy, they look on Amazon, and they keep finding me, and they're like, oh, you're the guy now. And, so that, and I think for people creating their apps now, what I sometimes recommend, like I have a lot of clients who do, for example, like dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
And the classic example, like if somebody comes to you with a dating app, you're like, oh my God, how do I promote this? Because it's so hard, right? You're competing against giants. And now, I always have this idea, and no one's ever taken it. But if it was me, I would like nail it. Just like with the business app, I nailed it. And I would literally add a coaching component to the app where I would be like talking, because a lot of people, they don't want to do the work, right? But if you're okay with doing the work, man, if I cared about the app's growth, guess what I'd be doing? I'd be like talking to every one of the potential daters for free, getting their reviews, like, oh, and leave me a nice review. We all know that game in the app world. And guess what? You're going to out review the biggest sites out there. If you're on your app all day helping people, they're going to give you the best reviews. You're going to have the best score. You're going to jump over the Hinge, the Coffee Meets Bagels, and you're going to knock it out of the park. No one's done that. I've told that to a lot of people. Like literally no one's done that. I would have done it day one,
Alex,
and
let me
yeah.
ask you a question. When you decided that, hey, it was great content because you listened to your audience, you created the content that they wanted, and I found that that's the best way. Rather than me scratching my head and figuring out, oh, what content should I create? Just asking the audience is the best way. But how did you go about earning that first sale? Did you do a lot of cross promotion within your apps and be like, hey guys, I came out with a Udemy course or I came out with an ebook? What did you do to cross promote?
I actually found very early on that cross promotion is actually not what I kind of should be doing, because people are very comfortable with their current platform. So if a person likes apps, it's really hard to get them to get a book, and vice versa, right? If they like a book, it's unnatural for them to get a course, but they should get more of the same thing. So I
I see.
actually have them, that's why I have like my apps for like a 4 app package, So, and my books are like, I have 20 books, and my courses have, so they like courses. I don't want to, oh, you like it, just keep on getting what you like. Um, so I like the catalog approach. I like having a lot of stuff. It's a problematic approach in a sense, because quality often suffers, because too many of everything. That's a problem. But the cross promotion is, the results of cross promotion are, for me at least, underwhelming. Like if I had promoted, actually when I do promote stuff to my app users, the uptake is very, very small. What I do find the right path is to, so like we're talking about um, cross-pollinating platforms, right? So apps to courses to books to whatever's. I found that leveraging, like, it's wrong to promote from the outside almost, because the platform is vast. And so like whatever it is, if it's YouTube, if it's Amazon, if it's Udemy, we are like one-person businesses, and our promotion is just like a tiny trickle. You know, when you forgot to turn off your faucet and it drip, drip, drip. That's us. They're the ocean. And what you really need to be doing is to make the ocean flow your way, right? Just get the platform to like you. For example, like if you're a YouTube video that's amazing and Udemy is like, promoting the bejesus out of your YouTube video, you will never generate that in your life. What YouTube can bring you, right? But we have to make the best YouTube video, and so the efforts have to be on how can I make the best YouTube video? How can I leverage the platform? Usually in every platform, there's like what's Amazon or YouTube, there's like four, at least on Amazon, let's say, there's four major ways to leverage the platform, and when they all play well together, the magic starts happening. So maybe there's more elements to it, but like search, obviously, all these search number one, because that's how you get your initial bump. So search keywords, we all know that when that happens, the system, the platform gets to know about what you're doing, like gets data. Are users liking it? Are users not liking it? When users are liking it way above average, the platform starts promoting you in, usually they have recommendation algorithms. Amazon has this, Udemy has this, YouTube has this, app stores have this. So when the recommendation algorithms kick in, that's when the super growth really happens, because the search is very limited, because we all want to be above the search. But the main problem is when you reach the search, the top of the search, there's no more people searching. So it's a ceiling. But when the platform starts promoting you, there's like, feels like no ceiling, right? Because that's where it's the ocean, it's vast. And so all these things have to come together. And one way to push it is, there's two ways actually. One is the free, one is paid. The free is to have the most best and amazing conversion rate. So if it's a book or a course, it's, when people come on your sales page, well, there's actually, sorry, I'm going fast, but there's really two places. People always discover you first in a list next to others when they search. And so your thumbnail, your title has to be more attention grabbing. But when they land on your sales page, in YouTube there's no sales pages, but like when they land on your sales page, they have to have a high sales conversion rate. When they search, and out of those people they search, they choose you the most, and when they choose you, they actually go through and buy at a high rate. And when they buy, the engagement signals are also good. When all that flow happens, that's an amazing kind of all free way to boost SEO, and with that, the algorithm. And if you really, 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 you're almost there, you feel like you're almost there, but like you're just not breaking through the ceiling, then you boost it with ads. And you can run ads at a loss, because it doesn't matter what the immediate, that day you spent $50, but you made $25 back. That's cool, because if that little bump gave you enough to push above the next guy on top of you, and now you're the most recommended instead of the third most recommended, dude, that's an exponential earnings, because you're at the top of the pyramid. There's like, and that's really much easier said than done, because the people at the top, they're amazing too. And they're like all people who are super smart, super experienced, have a lot of resources, maybe have teams. And so we really have to bring it. So the level of the attention to detail has to be on our part as creators immense, because the competitors are super smart.
Let me ask you this, Alex.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the conversion rate, so when you're in a sea of search results, how do you make sure that you stand out the best?
So I spend a lot of times on titles, and it's really hard because I'm a geek of SEO. So the keywords, right? And I have a tendency, a flaw, where I tend to overdo the keywords, and they tend to make my titles dumb and unattractive. And when I make my titles attractive, that means sacrificing some keywords. And it's like, why don't you just stab me with a knife? Look, I don't want to lose the keywords. So it's actually, it's it's a little bit of an art. There's like no real right because um, you can have the most amazing title, but it will have a very few keywords, and the balance you can't know the results because you can only experiment with a lot of different titles. Some of them you'll lose the keywords, so you lose some of the search rankings. With some of them you'll gain conversion. So it's really an art to be honest. And part of it is what makes it so hard is that it might take 25 experiments just on the title. It might take more because your competitors, guess what, they're experimenting too. So sometimes that's the challenge, right? And then that's only the title. Guess what happens when in your listing you'll have the description, the subtitle, the reviews are always, sometimes the review is a nice one and sometimes it's not a nice one and it drops you. So it's like it's a constant, like in theory when I explained that it flowed so well, but when you're in the muck of it, um, it's really easy to outcompete the bottom 90%. It's really hard, I find, to compete against the top 3%. These guys, man, they're good. Everything I do, they do better. And maybe I don't give myself credit. I do some things well, but like it seems like never enough.
You're doing great. Hey, let me go some rapid fire questions for you if you don't mind. So you're on all these platforms. You got a great following on all these different platforms. Maybe you can recommend a tool. I'll say the platform. You recommend your favorite tool for that platform. You ready for this?
All right.
All right, here we go. Let's start with
I'm old
YouTube.
school, by the way.
All right, let's start with YouTube. What's your favorite tool?
YouTube, create my own creativity, my own common sense. Google keyword tool.
Udemy.
In that order. Udemy, they actually created an amazing tool for instructors. They keep making tools. So if I say a tool now and 6 months from now it might be different, but at the moment they created a conversion tool where you can see how well your courses are converting. Since the day one that they released it, I've been an absolute nerd of that tool. Every day I go and check, and I have like 100 courses, and then I go, oh my god, like my conversion, and then I started to go checking. So that's been driving me. It's kind of fun, but it's also driving me nuts a little bit. So, but they have a tool built in.
Amazon.
Amazon, Jungle Scout for sure.
Jungle Scout.
But also Google Keyword Tool, Thesaurus for getting more keywords, and a lot for keywords. A lot of it is also the autocomplete. It's really easy, but the Amazon like literally tells you what the popular searches are. So that too. And sometimes autocomplete in Google and YouTube and Amazon, because sometimes Amazon doesn't have all the perfect keywords that you might want for the long tail.
Any lesson that took you the longest to learn as you were growing this Alex Genadinic, I'm screwed up your name all the time, your empire? Any lessons that you learned along the way that you're like, man, if only I knew this now when I was beginning, this would help me out so much?
Yes, and I think a lot of people will find a little bit unsatisfactory, but what I found is that, like, you know how like we can always talk about tactics, add keywords, subtract keywords, make a better title, but it doesn't really give you a tremendous leg up. It gives you a little leg up for sure, but if you don't, it's a tactic. The big thing is when you, let's say, schedule figure out a productivity technique better, or let's say we're doing a lot with video. When I figure out like my lighting right now is not perfect, right? When I figure out my current setup, all my videos will be better. YouTube will recommend me more. Everything will happen out of that. And it's like even the lighting is a struggle. If you've seen how many lights are pointing at me, because I'm in my living room filming right now. It's not like a perfect studio, so I had to kind of do my best. And so but every time we kind of figure out how to make our business flow better, it can be like our time management. It can be like how many things we say no to and open up space for the right things to say yes. And I've actually identified 50 separate skills, like all soft skills, from goal setting to time management to emotional intelligence. Like I have a list of 50, and that I like work on all the time, and I like give out to my students, and I tell them, if you do some special things like finish my course, I'll send you this list. It's a cool list. It is actually a cool list. I'm a geek of that list myself. I really try hard, and I've noticed like my business is kind of like usually it's like I want it to just keep going up all the time, but what really happens is like plateau, 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 plateau. I start doing something better. For example, I might use better lighting, right? And then, oh my God, like improve all my, like right now I'm improving all my sales videos, all my courses that have been old, and I'm seeing like immediate results. And I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I figure this out earlier? But anyway, now I figured it out, and it's like I'm literally seeing like a leg up, you know? So when you figure out how to make something better, more efficient as like a process, in either in yourself or in your business, and like I said, there's like 50 fields of such things. Um, it could be stress management. Like stress management is huge, right? Because like, for example, I know it's a little bit of a tangent, sorry, but like basically, stress management is like we can only deal with the short term. When we're in stress, we can only, like the part of our brain that takes over is the part of the brain that only deals with removing the immediate pain. So we're only able to deal with short term strategies, which is, by the way, every entrepreneur's experience, right? My app is struggling. Oh my God, stress, stress, stress. They can only do short term. They ask for, how do I solve this right now? Well, the solution really is a long term one. Like so, but it's really partially about removing the stress, and then the person will just have enough breathing room to embrace slightly longer term but actually effective strategies, and then they actually implement their business well, and they start doing things well, and the business actually grows. So something as seemingly secondary or tertiary as stress management, because we're all like, we can take it, we're tough, but we're not. It controls us. So in our ability to deal with different things, see different things, just something as little as stress management, which seems like important, but not totally important. But see, when I kind of put these high level things ahead of the immediate tactics, that's where I start. That's where the lessons are. That's where I start really seeing the growth. So for me, that over the years, that's what really hit me. I'm like, I gotta and just chill, not rush too much, and just make sure that everything I'm doing is not about quantity, which is a total like, because I have too much quantity in my work, and like my problem is always too much quantity, not enough quality. That's my own criticism of myself because of the stress that I put myself through, right? And so I'm like, reverse it. I'm constantly telling myself to reverse it, and it's one of these like big, sort of soft skill lessons that I would really recommend.
I love it. Well, the website is problemio.com. It is linked up into the YouTube description, along with all of Alex's ebooks on Amazon and his courses on Udemy. Alex, you want to send the audience anywhere else?
Where should I send them?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the influencer, my brother.
Well, I think if you haven't subscribe to Steve's channel.
We're
I
on
think that's
YouTube. Actually, let me do this, Alex. Alex's YouTube channel is phenomenal too. He talks a lot more about business and entrepreneurship. So definitely check out his YouTube channel. And I'm going to link that into the show notes as well. He's got a ton more subscribers than I do. But Alex, thank you so much for coming on and doing this, man. I really appreciate you.
we were overdue for catching up. I'm very happy for doing it, and we got to do this more often. We have a good pace of like once every 2 years.
This is true. This is true. And we got to meet in person a couple of times too. Alex, a phenomenal guy. Thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate you. And to the YouTube audience, I will see you on the next video. Go check out Alex's channel by clicking the top video up there. And if you want to learn my hack for selling your expertise in growing a consulting business, well, check out one of my older videos at the bottom.